When you decide to purchase a property, you may decide to check your affordability and see your credit to see how much you qualify for. Or perhaps you decide you're going to sign an offer to purchase and then hand it into the bank and find out if the lender will or will not grant you a loan. Either way, there's an application process involved which you are going to need help with. Now, you can either go to your bank and get assistance from a consultant, meaning you either go into the branch or you ring up the call center. The other option is to have assistance from a bond originator. So today we're going to look at all things involving bond originators in South Africa. What exactly do they do? How much do they really cost you? Is it really worth it, or is it just a glorified scam? By the end of this video, all those questions will be answered. And as a bonus, I'll show you how bond originators make their money and how it affects you as the buyer. A bond originator is basically a consultant who applies with all the different banks in order to try and get you the best possible deal on your home loan. In other words, they offer a bond comparison service. Now, you may apply with one lender to see whether or not the bank will grant you the loan. But should they decline, now you have to go and start the application process all over again with a different lender. The challenge here is if you've already signed an offer to purchase, you've got a certain number of days in which to secure financing. So if you keep getting rejections, bank after bank, you may find yourself running out of time before you can secure a loan with a lender. One of the duties of the bond originator is to save you time. So instead of moving from bank to bank, they will be able to apply with all the banks by you filling in just one application form, thus streamlining the home loan application process. Now, because the system is linked with all the banks, you don't necessarily have to wait for a response from Bank A before you can apply with Bank B. Once you get your response from the bank, some of them may have a positive response, some of them not so much. So let's, for this example, say 2 of the lenders agree and 3 of the lenders decline your application. The bond originator will then go and communicate with the 3 banks who have declined to find out why was the application denied? What can we do to increase our chances of getting a bond? They will basically go to battle to see if they can't get at least one of those no's into a yes. Now, you might be wondering, if we've already got 2 yeses, why are we sitting chasing after these 3 declined applications? So the thing is, because everything happens all in one go as far as the application is concerned, there's still substantially less pressure with regards to how long you need to get the time back. So even though one bank might take a week, another one might take 4 days, another might take, let's say, 10 days, but it will still be within the period that you need to get your home loan approved by. Another thing you need to remember is that not all banks have the same requirements. They don't all have the same appetite for risk. So you may find one bank will approve of your bond, but not give you the amount that you're looking for. And now you've got 3 approvals. So the bond originator has negotiated on your behalf, gotten you the loan amount that you want. So now what they'll do is go to the 3 banks and look at the different interest rates that each of the lenders are offering you, and then present to you the lowest offer that they can get you. Even before we reach the stage where these 3 interest rates are now available, oftentimes a bond originator will go and negotiate with these banks and get them to battle against each other and see who can bring you an even lower amount. So in other words, if you bank with Bank X and Bank Y is offering you a lower amount, they will go to Bank X and say, hey, listen, you're about to lose a client who you've had for X amount of time. They're about to move to Bank Y and give them business. Then Bank Y will be like, no, we don't want to lose our clients. So by the time the interest rates are eventually presented, they are already substantially lower than what the banks had initially offered in the first place. So as you can see, bond originators don't just get you the loan, they're in the business of negotiating. Their aim is to secure you the best home loan offer with as little effort from your side as possible. Now, you may be thinking, I'll just go directly to all the banks, negotiate myself, and just cut out the middleman. But when the bank receives an application from a bond originator, they already know that the bond originator is applying with more than one bank. So they know they're up against a lot of competition, and they are likely to give a more competitive rate and competitive conditions, because they already know that they are competing with different banks, and they will go out of their way to try and secure the business of this buyer. Another reason not to necessarily try to cut out the bond originator is because they don't come at a fee. They genuinely offer their services to you for free. I know it kind of doesn't make sense, because it's like, how can you add an extra person to the equation and the result is that there's actually less costs involved? You might be thinking there is no ways that this comes completely for free. The catch is how the bond originators make their money. Their slice of the cake genuinely does not come from you as the buyer. They get a fee that is paid out directly to them from the banks. And that's because Bank X will happily pay a small fee to a consultant in order to take away business from Bank Y. Remember that without bond originators, we would all go directly to our banks in order to apply for bonds. This is work that would be done by the staff of the bank. And it makes sense for the bank to outsource part of this bond attaining process, because the less consultants they have, the less operational fees, the more convenient it is for them. Less salaries, less office space. It makes sense to save on these costs in exchange for paying a bond originator a small fee for their work. So there's no need to feel as though their payment is being added onto you in the form of interest or something like that. The services of a bond originator can save you, let's say, 0.5% in the interest rate. So let's take a look at what that looks like in monetary terms, because I like to deal with numbers. It'll save you 100,000 Rand over the term of the bond for a bond of an amount of 1.25 million. And that is absolutely no effort from you, purely done by the bond originator. The best thing about the bond originator is that you don't only approach them once you've signed the offer, they can also help you with the pre-approval. So there's no need to go and apply with your bank for the pre-approval and then only use them once you've signed the offer to purchase. If you apply with just your bank for the pre-approval, they might decline your application and you end up feeling, down and deflated, assuming you won't be able to get a bond. Whereas, like we've seen in this case, maybe your bank does say no, but there's another 2 lenders who actually are happy to loan you that amount. So how do you get in touch with a bond originator? Quite possibly the most effective way is to contact your estate agent. They will be able to refer you to somebody who is reliable and efficient. Usually it'll be someone that the estate agent already works with. So should there be any hiccups along the way, the bond originator and the estate agent will be able to communicate between themselves. More often than not, you'll end up with the cell number of the bond originator, which means that you can communicate with them directly if you need to, as opposed to calling a call center, and we all know how that goes. If you're looking for a pre-approval, but you don't already have an estate agent that you're working with, don't stress. You can just contact any estate agent and they should be able to help. Maybe it's somebody who has listed a property in the suburb that you're looking to buy, or maybe you know somebody who's bought recently and you can just contact that person and ask them who was the bond originator that they worked with. You can just explain to the bond originator or the estate agent that you're not maybe necessarily ready to buy. You just want to see what your affordability and credit looks like and how much the bank will be willing to borrow you. The beauty about bond originators currently is that you don't have to go into their office anymore. Most of the stuff is done online. So you can literally have your bond originator in Cape Town, even though you might be wanting to buy in Harrismith or something like that. If you do decide you want to use your bond originator before your purchase, make sure that you watch this video, which is going to give you everything you need to know about the pre-approval.